Good morning, everyone. How are we doing today? It's May 1st. Can you believe 4 months of the year are already over? Yeah, time flies. So, a couple of things that jump out at me when I think about that. What have we done in the first 4 months to kind of set us up for success moving forward? One of the things that obviously, if you're on this channel, you're probably interested in real estate investing, financial freedom, all of those wonderful things that rental properties can provide. I guess the one thing I would ask you is, what have you done the first 4 months of the year, right? Are you taking action to really set up the future? I know that the last, call it 16 months have been rough. I know it's been hard to find deals, if not impossible. But this business can change your life. And the market's always moving and always changing. And it's kind of a simple formula. And I teach it in the class right out of the gate. It's focus, right? I call it your box. What are you looking at? Then you look at it every day and you document it and you feel uncomfortable for 10 days, 20 days. Like, why is this guy making me do this? And then by day 25 or 36 or whatever it happens for you, this light bulb goes on and you're like, oh my God, I get it. I'm starting to understand. My market has a flow or a current. I can't do the work for you. I can show you the path. I can tell you my journey of the path. You can join the course and now meet hundreds of other people that are on the path. I'm just so proud of the fact that how to get started one rental at a time at now $200. I did not raise the price. I was going to raise the price 50% because other people told me to. And I'm just not going to. I think it's at a price point that is ridiculously cheap, but just enough to feel like you have some skin in the game. That's where I feel good, right? I think if I keep raising the price, I'll probably make more money, but this isn't about me. I like trying to thread that needle of skin in the game on your side, but it's still accessible. You have no idea how important for the course to be accessible. I'm trying to reach the person that was me, right? That grew up with nothing and that sees the path, that sees the outlook, but just needs some guidance. It's working. I have a positive impact score that I share every Sunday, and I can't do the work for you. Buy the course, do the work, join the Facebook group. You'll be amazed at what happened. So a couple of housekeeping items. And again, leave questions on the side. Keep just pounding in questions. Wish me good morning. Wish everybody a good morning if you like. I think you guys can see those. I think you can. I'm pretty sure you can. I don't know if you can see them on the recording though. But anyways, keep leaving them there. Let's have some fun. If you did a deal, tell me, because I will release my positive impact score tomorrow. And your deals are a big part of that score. So a couple of housekeeping items. We had over 100 people buy the course this month, or I'm sorry, last month. It's now May and April. I just want to remind you how to join the Facebook group, because I've got a couple of messages on Instagram and email and things. If you have a Facebook page, and if you don't, I apologize. It's the easiest platform for me to use. You need to go to Facebook. You need to ask to join the private group. The group is called One Rental at a Time Works. What will then happen is I will get a notification. I look about once a day. I will absolutely validate that you've purchased the course. And if you purchase the course, I will approve it. Some of you get creative with your names. So like if your Facebook name's Mary Smith, but you bought the course in your LLC name, I may ask you for what email address, because it's just me. I don't have a team or virtual assistants or anything. So I may ask some of you that. But again, join the group. That is, it's starting to grow pretty quickly. So you want to be a part of it. So again, if you bought the course and trying to figure out how to join the group, go to Facebook, ask to join. One Rental at a Time Works. and then I will approve it usually 24 hours or so. Okay. So on to the questions at hand. Oh, what order do I want to do these in? We'll do those ones first. So yesterday we had a special announcement. I had a non-qualified mortgage lender reach out. We've had some conversations. I finally said, you know what? I think you're going to meet my expectations, right? A lot like Matt, the mortgage guy who we talked to on Wednesday, who all of you rave about if you've used his services. I needed to bring someone in that lends across the country, but really lends on investments that aren't just standard FHA deals, right? So we found one. We're giving them a shot. Early indications, it's been less than 12 or less than 24 hours, are pretty positive. Some of you have messaged me. So let's see. Again, I can't promise a lender is going to say yes, but I can provide at least quick. You could go elsewhere, or you can find out if they can help. So some of you asked, how would you use them, right? This non-QM lender is a new concept to you. It's not a word you've heard of before. So let's talk about how I would use them or may use them going forward. So let's step back to when I was starting, right? So when I was starting back in 2003, frankly, I wouldn't have used them. I just wouldn't. I could have gotten all the loans I could have via Matt, the mortgage guy, right? Good credit, down payment, reserves. So again, if that's you, if you're getting your first 4 loans and you have good credit, good income, the property's clean, it passes inspection, don't use them. They're more expensive. I would use Matt, the mortgage guy. I'm in California. He's licensed in California. So that's the first answer, right? When I was starting, I wouldn't use them. Fast forward to 2010. Now, banks are telling me no. And banks are telling some of you no, right? Some of you are self-employed. Some of you have a lot of tax deductions that are kind of, depreciation and like, and banks don't like it. Some of you have new jobs. I mean, there could be some of you are doing BRRRR projects. You're buying junk and then remodeling and refining out. These are all programs that banks like Wells Fargo or Bank of America or whatever don't like. They like cookie cutter. So yes, in 2010, when banks were telling me no, I would go find a non-QM lender. I would get pre-approved or make sure that what I am doing, buying junk, fixing, renting, BRRRR, right, and then refining out, worked. And the good news is what I heard yesterday from our lender that we talked to, Steve, I was trying to think of his name. I blanked for a second. Velocity Mortgage is, they have programs that I would just gobble up like candy. It'd be like Skittles. I would just eat them by the handful. So again, just to be clear, if it was 2002 or 2001, wouldn't use them, wouldn't need to. 2010, banks tell me no. Dude, I'd be all over that non-QM stuff. I would at least try. I'd go ask them, can you help me? Can we set up an assembly line? The biggest thing for me in 2010 was I needed to make sure the money was there. Deals were everywhere, but I had to make sure the money showed up. And I really do see a lot of inventory coming. It's hard to believe me right now. I'm on record on several different podcasts that I think inventory is going to be 2 million by the end of July. And we're only at 1 million today. So that's like, are you nuts? Why are you putting that out there? I believe the consumer is going to always do what they do. They're going to go, I need a bigger place, nicer, whatever. So I think it's coming, but get ready. So if you're getting no answers from the bank for whatever reason, check them out. Again, they're going to be more expensive than banks. They're going to be less expensive than hard money. So that's how I would use them. Many of you asked. So some of you also asked me about seller financing. You were a part of the conversation yesterday with Ryan Nickel, who gets full credit once again for adding that section to the course, or basically highlighting, hey, let's add this together. So Ryan, thank you for that. But I want to really talk about seller financing because some folks hear me say seller financing and they almost think, everything's zero down and, every opportunity is open for seller financing and, it's the race is open or whatever it is. And that's not, I don't want you to think that. Seller financing provides great opportunities to work with the seller to fix their needs, but it's about the seller first and it's about you second. Never forget that. So seller financing in the course has 2 sections and 2 sections on purpose. When I think seller financing in the owner, I think there's 2 ways seller financing happens. And kind of everything in the middle doesn't work. So let's talk about that. First off, it's the sellers that I have been working with the last 10 or 15 years. They're generally own the property for a decade or more. It's generally paid off, and they like monthly income, but they don't like the operational headache of being a landlord. They're just older. I think over the years we've done, I don't know, more than 50, maybe less than 80 units via seller financing this way. So that's why I've added that content. Bob Langworthy and I talked about from the accounting perspective, save on taxes and capital gains and all this nastiness that the government's bringing. If you have an older owner, decades, no debt or very little debt, my angle of seller financing is what you'll have to learn. Now go back up to the top. As Ryan shared yesterday, there's a lot of people that are debt burdened, and life's just mean sometimes. And when they're down, they're down. And sometimes the house is the biggest weight on their shoulders. And you can hear Ryan talk about several moving situations. So when there's no equity, right? The owner has no equity or very, very skinny equity. That's where creative financing can come in. And I think as Ryan shared yesterday, he gave you all a gem. If you haven't watched that interview yet, you got to just watch it, because he's basically highlighting how the government's avoidable foreclosures, 40-year mortgages, second at 0% interest, is going to be a debt burden that crushes people going forward. And as I highlighted, the next recession, it's going to be a doozy, because there's going to be a lot more people that are in a situation where they need to move for a job or for a divorce or for whatever. And they're going to look at this house that they think is an asset and realize it's a liability. So there's so much in this other angle of seller financing that I have zero experience with, zero. So in the course, Ryan created almost 2 hours of content, gave you several examples, walked you through it. He says 3 videos. I watched number 2 and number 3 several times already. I already heard his story. He's a personal friend, so I skipped I only watched number 1 once. But man, you could buy the course for $200 just for the seller financing that's been added, which is on top of everything else we're already doing. So that's how I would use the non-QM vendor we brought in yesterday, and that's how I would use seller financing. Okay, that's that questions. I got a lot of those yesterday. Next, we had over 100 people join the course last month. I think it was 123 or 121, something like that. So I've already gotten a lot of questions. How do I join the Facebook group? Fair enough. It's really quite easy. Go to Facebook, go to groups, ask to join the private Facebook group called One Rental at a Time Works. When you do that, I will get a notification. I usually look once a day. I will validate purchase and I will hit approved. It's that simple. You do not get added automatically. I have no idea if you have Facebook, what your username is, any of that stuff. So you must ask to join. Okay, next. It was funny. This comment was actually addressed to Kevin. So I'm wondering if this person was trying to send it to meet Kevin, but I'm going to answer it anyway. Because maybe they met Michael. No. How could you think Michael's Kevin? But anyways, basically the question was, hey, I bought the course. I'm doing the work, but I'm getting discouraged. Help me out. So I guess there's a couple of things I want you just to realize. First and foremost, as I've said many times, but maybe you're ready to hear it this time. The last 14 months has been the hardest 14 months of my 20-year career to buy a property out of the multiple listing service. However, it has also been one of the best times to learn a market because it is changing so quickly. So what I would tell you, instead of being discouraged because you have no deals, change how you look at the situation. Get excited about how many deals you have looked at. Get excited by the fact that you can have an intelligent conversation, because if you're in my course, you've looked at hundreds of properties and be excited that you can talk about your market, your little box that we talk about in the beginning, endlessly. So stop looking at the negative and try to repivot the mindset and look at the positive. The other thing to realize, that one of the hardest jobs I ever had was cold calling, right? Where you pick up, this is back before auto dialer and all that stuff. I would literally have to dial 100 numbers a day. And the competition, people that came in to compete with me on numbers, if they came in and they were just complaining all the time, they were washed out quickly. But if you were like me and you're like, God, I'm so excited. I'm on call number 36 and nothing. I'm one step closer to a great conversation. That's how I look at this game, folks. I've looked at it ever since the beginning that there's always a deal of a decade coming. And every day I'm one day closer to the deal of the decade. I told you about in the course, I outlined I bought 2 fourplexes, a triplex, and 4 houses in person. That was my deal of the decade last year, or maybe it was the year before. I don't know. Late 19, I believe. But still, that's awesome because I kept looking and kept working and kept doing it. And it's all because of seller financing to tie this conversation together. So what I would tell you is don't be discouraged. What do you have to be discouraged about? You have taken if you're on my course, I have no idea what Kevin's course is, but if you're on my course, you're one day closer to getting a deal. So congratulations. And if you're ever feeling discouraged, you've got to join the Facebook. Just put a comment. Hey, I'm feeling discouraged. I've looked for 17 days and I found nothing. I promise you, the other students in the course, they'll pick you up. They'll tell you what's going on. So that's what I would do. Yesterday, I posted my first reaction video. There was basically a couple that retired at 38 in 1991. So I watched that video and I figured out how to get the technology to work. So that was kind of fun for me. I don't expect I'll do a lot of reaction videos, but anytime there's like a happy topic, like retire at 38, I'm probably going to do it because I like having fun. I would rather do a reaction video on positive news than negative stuff. It's crazy. But what I really took from that video, and I've watched it 3 or 4 times now. First, they planned for it, right? They talked about planning for 2 years. Second, they tracked their spending. And then third, which really wasn't said, and I didn't get it till I watched it the third time, they made sacrifices. They made choices about how they want to live the rest of their life, right? They got rid of cars and some stuff. So it's possible, right? The thing that really caught my attention was I always hear you need 7 figures to retire. And here's a couple that did it on 500K at 38. I'm like, I'm a hell of a lot older than 38. And I didn't do it at 38. So it was kind of crazy. I thought that was good for them. I just want to applaud people that took their life in their own hands. I thought that was cool. Next up, again, folks, remember, leave your questions. I have 4 more to go through. So leave your questions. I will get to them. I will try. I usually do. Next is, do I think Biden is bluffing about all of these tax changes? The short answer is hell no. I don't think the guy knows how to bluff. I think he feels that he's got the power of the House and the Senate. I think he's emboldened by his favorite reviews or whatever. I don't know what it's called. But anyways, I think he thinks everybody likes him, or at least most people like him, and he's coming after the rich. I do think some of this is negotiation, but not bluffing, if that makes sense. I think he's setting the bar out here and he'll negotiate here, but he's not coming back here. They're coming after real estate riches, in my opinion. But the good news is, don't let that stuff detract you. We are buy and hold. We are hold forever. Doesn't impact you or I at all, except that, damn, there may be more competition coming, but that's a different conversation. So no, I don't think he's bluffing. I'm not sure. I don't know what he gets by bluffing. Yeah, I don't see that. Got another question about Airbnb. Somebody asked, why didn't Airbnb owners flood the market when the pandemic happened? Basically distressed sales. I've talked to many Airbnb owners because I thought that would be something coming. And the short answer is there was about a 6-week period where most Airbnb folks were nervous, maybe 8 weeks. Most of them say 6 weeks. Cancellations, oh my gods. I mean, so bad that Airbnb themselves had to start paying operators. It was pretty bad. But right after that first 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks, they started to see bookings go the other direction. And by this last summer, most Airbnb hosts were pulling in record profits. If you had an Airbnb by the water or the mountains, you were doing really, really well. I know several Airbnb folks that have luxury Airbnbs, luxury meaning on the water, great views, that kind of stuff, $500 a night kind of stuff. And they're all like, I am printing money, Michael. It is freaking awesome. So the reason that Airbnb owners didn't flood it is all of them could hold. They all held for those 6 to 8 weeks. I bet you some of them got mortgage forbearance. Also, let's not forget anybody could get mortgage forbearance. So I bet lots of them did. But in reality, Airbnb is a great business right now. People don't want to go to hotels. They want to avoid elevators. I know many Airbnb owners that are just killing it right now. So that's really the reason. Here's one I get sometimes. It says, hey, I plan to refi or sell within under 5 years. Should I get an ARM to save on interest? And hopefully, for those of you that follow me for more than 10 days, know my answer to this. And my answer is hell no. Never, ever get an ARM, in my opinion. ARMs assume that life events don't change. And an ARM that's 5 years into the future, we may think we know what's happening in 5 years, but we don't know. And with the interest rates today at remarkably low rates, why would you risk that? That makes no sense to me. Yeah, you get an ARM today, it's 2.38, and you could get a 30-year at 3.8. So, it looks to be a big difference. But bingo bango, you get a girlfriend or a boyfriend and have a kid or whatever it is, and you stay. Oh, you got to refi later at 7? That doesn't make sense. So I can't think of a situation where I would get an ARM today. Nope, I can't think of one. So that's what I think about. And again, remember, I'm very biased. ARMs are what killed people in 2008. So maybe I'm too biased and I'm too strict, but you asked me the question, so that's my answer. I guess the last one I have here is it possible to build a rental portfolio and making 50 or 60K a year? And the answer is, of course. I interview people on my channel all the time that have built significant rental portfolios. They're not doing it in the Bay Area. They're not doing it in Manhattan. So realize some of this answer is based on where you live. But yes, you can build a portfolio of rentals on 60K a year. You have to do what kind of was in that reaction video. You've got to live below your means. You got to understand your freedom dollars, your financial health score, which I talk about all the time. But yeah, of course. If other people do it, you can do it too. Stop thinking low income is a reason you can't do something. It's absolutely not. Your life decisions are why you can't do something. You're flexing on social media or living above your means, or worse yet, getting a raise and then raising your expenses. Life creep, that's what it's called. That's the word I was searching for. Life creep gets us all. And again, remember, I shared this with you, and it may sound harsh, but realize I did it for a decade. I'm just as guilty, right? I didn't get my money right till I was 30. So, okay. Now let's see what kind of questions you all have. I'm going to go to the top like I always do, and let's have some fun. Let's see. Good morning, Dion. Howdy. First up, Tamika, good morning. Nathan, good morning. Dan, what do we got here? Just got a quote for interest rate. Wow, owner Ock. Yeah. So I think what you're saying there, Dan, is you are feeling the effects of that like we talked with Matt, the mortgage guy. I think it was 2, maybe 3 weeks ago, where FHFA said they're going to buy only 7% instead of 14% investor and second homes. They're doing that on purpose. What you just highlighted there is exactly what they're trying to do, Dan. They're trying to make investment loans more expensive, owner ox cheaper. One of the few variables they have that gives owner-occs a chance to compete with investors. So unfortunately, what you have there is kind of the market we're in, unfortunately. Yep. Ouch indeed. Yep. Doing the daily work pays off. You are so right, Tamika. I think you're up to 2 or 3 rentals already doing the work. I like it. Hey, Dan, sorry. Good morning, Prasanna. Dan, yes, we can see. Oh, cool. Thank you. I thought you could see it, but I don't think you could see it on the replay. I have no idea. Good morning, Nathan. Hey, Mike, how are you? Dion, here we go. As rent increases, do you have a system or plan to estimate new higher rents? Rentometer lags behind since it's based on history. The answer is I work with my property manager, and it's actually in the systems as lease comes due. We talk about it once a month, and I rely on my property manager and my experience. I don't use outside systems. I think it's great for new investors, Rentometer or others, to get base numbers so you can build your spreadsheet in my course, for example. But no, I use my experience, my portfolio. Yeah, no. You'll gain the experience. I don't use outside forces. I chuckle at what I see in Zillow and Rentometer sometimes because they're either way off one way or way behind. Yeah. No, I don't use any external system. Tamika, my position with banks is still very strong. Yep, is limited and way too expensive. When things open up, I'll be ready for deal number 3. I admit sitting on the sidelines hard. Oh yeah, having cash, doing the work. It's okay though. It'll come. You've already got 2, so congratulations, Tamika. More are coming. You're ready. Nathan, wow, thinking of retiring soon at 65. Awesome. And using rental income plus Social Security to live on, is that a good idea? Of course. It's kind of what you've been working for, I think. You've obviously got a plan for it, have some reserves, right? Having rental properties is there are big expenses. But yeah, I mean, what's the option? Keep working? You know what, Nathan, maybe you could do is find something you love and do it to have fun. If it pays you, great. If it doesn't, who cares? I think retiring at 65, assuming you have the right income and expense structure, congratulations. That's awesome. Yeah. Not sure why it wouldn't be a good idea. I guess the only thing, again, I'm just trying to think of the other coin, Nathan, other side of the coin. If your intention is to keep growing bigger and bigger, that's a trade-off, right? Because a W-2 employee can get loans a lot easier than a retired individual. But if you're at a point where you're good and you've got a little cushion, awesome. You won't be able to grow as fast, just so you know. But I think that's great. Lewis, great stuff. You're welcome. Hey, Angel, how are you? HELOC would be to acquire income-producing rental properties. I'm going to guess what that means, Angel. So my general opinion on HELOCs, again, a HELOC against your primary home is probably different than most people. I'm not a huge fan of it. I say that because of, again, personal experience, almost losing my family home growing up a couple of times. However, if you use a HELOC and it's part of your plan to pay it off in a year or maximum 2, like maybe you're going to buy a fixer and burr out or whatever it is. If your HELOC is part of your plan and it's the grease or the lubricant to make your process work and you will pay it off, go for it. But if you're going to use a HELOC and just max it out and add more debt on your primary home where you and your family live, not a huge fan of that. That scares me. So I'm not sure if that was your question, Angel, but I took a shot. Hey, Andrew, good morning. Mike, Hawaii shut down Airbnb for 9 months. It was difficult, but found locals to rent, cash flowing, but now business is booming. Mike, I did not hear that about Hawaii. Thanks. I don't have any Airbnb, so I didn't know. But yeah, I got a lot of friends in California, and obviously Aunt Anna and Omar are weekly experts. They tell me offline about their business just booming. So, Mike, I'm glad you could hold on and enjoy. I think you're going to have a wonderful summer. Leo's Mini. Let's see. Hello, live in Miami, Florida, but want to start looking at nearby cities or other options around here. In your opinion, what are the key things to look for to choose a market? If you follow my course or you follow me, I don't think it's about picking a perfect market. I think it's about you, the investor, learning a market. I think you can learn any market and do good or great deals in any market, but you got to do the work. I think too many people talk about, hey, here's the top 10 or 12 variables that make a great market. I've seen plenty of people go broke in great markets. I've seen plenty of people go broke buying cheap. I don't believe in any of those. I believe in the investor getting better, investor doing the work. And once you do the work, you know what good and great is? You have all the power. So I don't really look, for me, a market had to be over 500,000 people. I didn't want to invest in a town. I want a diverse economy, but I don't think there's a magic stat. Everybody wants to find the next up and coming area. I've stayed in one market. I've invested in one market. I've never saw the need to move. It's okay. Sometimes the market's 10, sometimes it's 5. I just keep moving forward with a good or great deal. So that's what I think. Hey, Lewis, have a property in California under contract, trying to structure a seller finance. Cool. Free and clear. Awesome. Well, Lewis, you can. So first off, if that was me, I would be asking the seller questions as I talk about in the course. I would see what do they want. It's not about me. It's about them. What do they want? If they've been dreaming about a big pile of money for 30 years, then seller financing is not going to work. But if they're like, man, I hate this thing, they're going to raise my taxes and blah, blah, blah. You know what? Seller financing and taking the course and sharing with them how you can delay or even reduce to zero capital gains might be interesting. So it's about the seller. What do they want? And then as far as docs, you can get them from a local title agency. It's called a purchase and sell agreement, but I don't think you're ready for that. You and the seller got to sit at the table and sketch out a deal. And really what you're hoping for is he doesn't want cash, because some sellers just want cash, right? They have a house for 400, they'll take 350, but they want cash. Seller financing is not going to work there. So that's the first thing I would do. Okay. Some people like Orlando, Jacksonville, and Tampa. Cool. Awesome. What title escrow would you recommend? Where can I find transaction coordinator? I don't know that you need a transaction coordinator. You're just doing one deal. Maybe I don't understand what's going on. I would probably, you know what, Lewis, I would talk to, I don't know where in California you are, so it's like just a guess, but I would try to talk to a local real estate agent and say, who do they use? I don't think I would overthink it. Go to Bigger Pockets and ask, yeah, that's what I would do. Dion talk, financial freedom, Google HUD fair rents for your county, city, government auditing. Yeah, there you go. Can you give us some insight on how you prepare for daily financial news? Do you use some type of calendar for when numbers are coming out? Do you have keyword alerts? Nope. Jonathan, I am basically a creature of habit. I look at CNBC, Wall Street Journal, Fortune, Forbes, a couple of real estate, like Real News, I think it's called, that are just real estate only. Bloomberg, Market Watch. I think that's it. Maybe there's a couple more. Also now, the good news of having this channel is people send me articles. I read most of those. So yeah, I don't use keyword searches or anything. I don't want to be biased. I just want to see what the big headlines are, click on the articles that interest me. I always click on, there's a couple things that I will always read, like Warren Buffett and Ray Dalio. I read their stuff. I always look at real estate information. Anything to do with the consumer, that's what I am. I don't want to do keywords, or I don't want to bounce to only certain sites. I try to stay in the middle, right? The media is about the edges. I'm in the middle. I give a rat's ass freaking left and right are doing the reds and blues and all that hateful stuff. Most people are in the middle, and that's where I try to stay. So that's kind of my routine. And again, I roll out of bed. Like this morning, I rolled out of bed at 5:37. No idea why I'm up so early. I turn on the coffee maker and I start reading. I read for 60 to 90 minutes, just bouncing around, taking notes. Well, 10-year term, 5K down. Great. What's the payment? What's the rent? What are you doing? But yeah. So what, yeah, you don't know what's the payment, but sounds like you're close to something. Congratulations, Lewis. There's if you're in California, there's a Facebook group called Squad Up. I talk with them every Friday and sometimes on Wednesdays. They have tons of agents across California. You can join Squad Up. It's free, and I'm sure somebody there could get you a contact with title or escrow. There's an 8-unit for sale in my market. My father owns a single family home. He was curious about 1031 and going for that. It next to a big apartment complex. What do you recommend for analyzing 8 units? Well, it's a commercial property, so realize it's going to use commercial financing. You are going to need 35% down, which if you're going to 1031, all good. You're going to look at rents. You're going to evaluate the tenants. You're going to look at what capital is needed. It's really the same thing that's in my course, just more data. You're going to put more down. You're going to certainly put more down, but it sounds like you're going to 1031 into it. What I would probably do on a deal like this is try to lock it up first, or at least get agreement from the seller on the 8th that, after you sell your house, you're going to 1031 in, because there's timing changes that you need to be aware of, right? Sell one, cash goes to an intermediary, then it comes to the 8-unit. Look at rising taxes. 8-unit, the commercial game is essentially the same. The numbers are just bigger. Turnover. Oh, I know one thing. Turnover. When I first went from 8 houses to 80 units, I did not adjust turnover. Huge mistake. Turnover in my houses are about 8 years. Turnover in apartments are 2 years. So have a bigger budget for turnover. That was something. And again, I don't know this 8-unit, obviously, but that was my big aha moment. I had a year where I was like, God damn, these turnovers are a lot. Yeah, you need a budget more for turnover. That's all I can think of. Yeah. Oh, and then realize that financing is going to reset every 3, 5, or 7 years, or you may have to refi. I have a rental property that I've held for 27 and a half years. Oh, wow. Awesome. Well, that's Mike. That's what the 1031 exchange was for. That's exactly why it was created, is when owners depreciate their asset to zero, or in your case, near zero, they go bigger. That's the whole point. You do need to realize that the 1031 is under attack and may go away next year. So if there was ever a time to look at it, this might be the year. I have some other people in the course and in the group that are trying to do 1031s today, but it's tough. There's just not a lot of inventory. However, I do think this threat of losing the 1031 is going to bring some inventory into the market. So you may have good timing. I would certainly look at it. Yeah. You got to remember, though, timing is really strict. IRS don't play. Yeah. Oh, you're in San Diego, Lewis, Riverside. So I have a weekly guest every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Omar. I would just reach out to him. He's down in that area. That's where I'd reach out to. Where do people ask questions? Right where you are, Ed. Right there. That's where you ask questions, in the chat. As you pointed out, many times banks are now bending over backwards to avoid foreclosures. Loan mod 40 years. Yeah. In light of that, why hesitate to max out HELOC? Because banks won't always do that. Yeah. Yeah. I don't rely on banks being kind forever. I have operated in environments where banks are darn right nasty. So I don't count on kindness of strangers. So I don't trust banks. So that's why. That's funny. The Daily Brew. Cool. There you go. I don't even know about the Daily Brew. I'll check it out maybe. Yeah. Yeah, I see cash flow opportunities. They don't hit my target yet, but they're out there. Yep. Jen. Yep. Yeah, I mean, private lender, if you have a private lender, you can get 30-year fixed. It's all up to the lender for sure. Yep. Yeah, private money makes their rules. I mean, shoot, they could do a 100-year mortgage if they wanted. It's their money. I've never done a 100-year mortgage. That was just a crazy example, but it's possible. Yeah, private money for sure. Great, thanks. You got it. Never done a reverse 1031 exchange. I know about them. I looked at them 10 or 15 years ago when I was doing mine, but never needed to do one. Again, I don't have any experience, so I don't like to speak, but they are options. Buy first. Yeah, it's just more complex, it sounds like, but I don't have any experience, Angel. Sorry. I don't like to speak on stuff I haven't done. Ed, I have cash for another down payment this year, but I'll be maxed in debt. How long does it take to make rental income in my total gross income? Depends on your lender. Some lenders do it day one. Some do it 90 days. If you're in California, you can always ask Matt, the mortgage guy, but lenders make the rules and lenders can change their mind. So sometimes they want day one. I've actually had lenders count rent when the property is vacant. They just say, what are you asking? So it's up to the lenders, Ed. Oh, morning brew. Oh, okay. I've heard of morning brew. I never heard of daily brew. Morning brew. Yes, I've heard of that. Any more recommendations for my daughter? Actually, my favorite book is a blue and white book by Gary Keller. I think I put it away. Yeah, I put it away. Gary Keller's blue and white. I think it's Millionaire Real Estate Investor. I think it's like this thick. It's blue and white. Gary Keller. I don't actually remember the name. I think it's $1 Million or Millionaire Real Estate Investor or Real Estate Millionaire, maybe. I don't know. Gary Keller, Keller, I think. I like that book. That's my favorite. I like that one even over Rich Dad. How to find an average yield on cash in my market? Answer, do the work. It's not published. Every investor needs to focus and do their own work. 20 minutes a day. No easy answer. How would I get California investors to buy in Las Vegas, Henderson? I'm licensed in both states. Weird questions, but curious on your take. What I would do is I would reach out to different bigger pockets forums and other locations where California investors are and tell them about your service. Yeah. If you're looking to sell Californians Vegas properties, you need to go where Californians are. Yeah. I mean, I might even get crazy, Jay, and go to Los Angeles Dodger pages and, I know the Raiders are in Vegas now, so maybe go to Oakland A's or whatever. I would go where the Californians are. There you go. All right. So I think I got to all the questions. Yeah, I think so. I'm looking. Yep. So again, kind of two things to go back to the open. I think seller financing is a skill to really learn. I think we're in a unique environment. I said yesterday with Ryan, rather be lucky than good. I had no idea all these tax changes are coming. I had no idea about avoidable foreclosures when we kind of brainstormed creating this for you because it's been like 60 days in the making. But now with avoidable foreclosures, I think there's going to be people debt burden, and you're going to want to listen to Ryan and what he's talking about. He's so right. The next recession is going to be huge opportunities for seller financing. And then all these other tax changes are really impacting landlords who've owned for decades. And you're going to want to follow what Bob Langworthy and I talk about, because I know I'm going to add a lot of units with that. So go figure that out. So in the end, remember, if you're one of my students, we will be back at it live at 9 a.m. in Facebook. And I will go to Facebook right now, just in case there's anybody that's asked to join and I didn't do it last night. So you can attend as well. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.